Welcome to Study Abroad Like a G, the podcast. My name is Justine, and I am the host and founder of Study Abroad Like a G, where G means global citizen. I believe that it is extremely important to be a conscious traveler everywhere you go. And here, I want to share with you some stories, and trust me, I've got a lot of them. I also want to introduce you to some of my friends, also known as my global homies, and we will be your plug to your study abroad needs. We're going to give you knowledge that we wish we had when we were applying, things that we learned when we were studying abroad, and some of the truths we had to settle with when we returned. I also want to show you how to navigate through the study abroad networks and also teach you how to use your experience to benefit you in life. Are you ready for our adventure? Let's go. Now it is time to buckle up because we are about to visit another amazing country. But I'm going to give you a few hints. One, this country is home to the highest rail bridge in the world. Two, the popular game Snakes and Ladders originated in this country. Three, this country has the highest population of vegetarians. Can you guess where we're going? You're right. We're going to India, Mumbai, India. Now that we have landed in Mumbai, India, before we meet our global homie for this episode, we're going to go on and dive into our topic. So, our topic is about wellness. We are going to talk about the importance of it, how it's something that you learn when you're studying abroad, being able to experience different cultures. You realize there are certain things that just may work for you better. And those may be things that you take back home with you and you're like, wow, I really liked this practice of of breathing, of meditating. I love the idea of a siesta. So when I get home, I'm gonna make sure I'm able to put that within my day. And so you learn these things and you learn how to implement them to make you a better person, to help you build as a person. And the global homie that we're having this episode, she's going to come in and she's going to talk about physical and mental wellness. And I think those are just so important because those are things that we may have struggled, some of us may have struggled with, but also doing it in not a trendy way, but doing it in a holistic way for you and in a safe way. So, without further ado, I'm going to go on and read the bio. Neha is an international Ayurvedic weight loss coach for women. Using a combination of traditional wisdom of Ayurveda combined with reprogramming emotional patterns and changing one's energy state, Neha helps her clients around the world lose between 10 and 80 pounds in her programs. She is the creator of the signature Ayurvedic weight loss e-course that teaches you how to apply Ayurveda to effectively lose weight without cutting any micronutrients, starving, or depriving yourself. She has studied abroad 3 times, lived in 9 cities, and traveled to over 60 countries. I want you all to meet the gorgeous, the intellectual, the entrepreneurial Neha Premji. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Study Abroad Like a G, the podcast. I am here with my friend, my loving, gorgeous friend from Semester at Sea, Neha Prajim. Can you go on and introduce yourself because I want everybody to learn who you are, and also, you guys, she's in India right now, and we're doing this podcast, so we're literally like I'm getting my day started and she's ending her day. I just want to say that. And I thank you so much for the dedication. But please go on and let everybody know who you are.
Thank you so much, Justine. And yes, you are right. I'm right here in India, and I'm so happy that we were able to make this work. Finding a time that worked for the both of us, which is, of course, hashtag abroad problems, but we always figure it out like we always do. Right. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for interviewing me. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Neha Premji. I am an Ayurvedic health and weight loss expert for women. I work with women all over the world who are feeling unhappy in their bodies, who are feeling blocked by excess weight, who want to get healthier, balance their hormones, maybe tackle any lifestyle related diseases. And I help them lose weight using a combination of the Ayurvedic method, which is this 5,000-year-old ancient Indian science, which tells you to treat your body in this really harmonious and loving way without any dramatic carb cutting or fat reduction or anything like that. It's just a super balanced way of understanding your unique body and feeding it in a way that feels really, really good. So I use the Ayurvedic method as well as emotional and energetic work to just help release those harmful patterns around maybe binge or comfort eating, to look at the emotional roots of why someone might be eating more than their body needs. And I work intensively with women. And then I also have my signature e-course, the Ayurvedic weight loss method, that outlines how you can learn more about Ayurveda and apply it to your own self and body to help lose weight. And that's my signature e-course. You can find it through my Instagram. My handle is Neha Premji, for those of you that just want to learn more about it. And that's what I spend my time doing. I'm a course creator, I'm a coach. I love my Instagram account and being active on it. That's where I share most of my knowledge and wisdom and insights. And of course, in addition to my work, you already know, Justine, I'm an avid traveler. I love the feeling of being out and about. I've been to 60 countries and I've lived in 9 cities. I've studied abroad 3 times. I'm just so obsessed, and I'm getting ready to go back to the US for a fourth time now for my master's, which we'll dive into through the episode. But yeah, I love the freedom life, and I love being my own boss, and how that just enables me to take my work anywhere in the world that I want, speak to clients from anywhere, whether I'm in Beirut or I'm in Dubai or I'm in London. I can still keep running my business and doing well and engaging with my clients and making sure they're on track while enjoying the beautiful gifts that our world has to give us. So I'm so excited to be here, and let's dive in.
Yay! Oh, okay. So my first question is, what encouraged you to uh to study abroad? Because I know we all have our stories, but what encouraged you to say, all right? Because what before you did semester at C, you came to the US, studied abroad in Chicago, and then applied for a semester at C. So how was it first coming to the US for undergrad? And studying there, and then also deciding, well, I'm already studying abroad, but now I'm going to do it again. So, can you explain, like how you came to that and how you did it? Because I always thought that was very interesting.
100%. So I actually grew up in India. I was in a local Indian school here, like most average kids. And then my parents actually moved me into the IB system. That's the International
Okay.
Baccalaureate for high school.
Mm-hmm.
And when I shifted to an IB school, I suddenly received so much exposure around an international education system, and I personally found it to be more superior than the Indian education system that I was in previously. And I was like, okay, you know what? There's such amazing educational opportunities all over the world. So intellectually, in my mind, that was kind of going on. But then also like a heart's desire of like, oh, I'd love to study abroad. And when I was in the IB system in this international school, we had teachers from Australia and Singapore and all these different parts of the world. And it just being in that environment really opened my mind up to the idea that going abroad and pursuing my higher education overseas was a very real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps that I have super supportive parents. So while my dad was a little on the fence and a little clingy and a little like, are you sure you want to do this? But eventually he let me go. My mom was always super encouraging. She was like, yes, apply. go abroad, study in the US, like go wherever you want, explore the UK, explore the US, explore Canada, explore, wherever in the world you'd like to explore. But so I worked with a guidance counselor at our school, and I personally found a very strong pull towards the US. I didn't apply to the UK or Canada. I felt, okay, no, I want to go to an American university. I was very fascinated at the time with the Ivy League schools, and I was like this big nerd. So I was very ambitious. I was like, I want to go to a top 10 school, and I'm going to get into a top 10 school. And then I hired the help and support locally, in terms of someone helping me with my applications, teaching me how to write essays, SAT, ACT prep. I did all the tests one after the next, and I just applied, and I felt my inner voice, my intuition just guiding me. I
Mhm.
remember when I was applying, my counselor looked at my grades and stuff and said, "You're not getting into schools like University of Chicago and Columbia and Duke. Like you're not in that range yet." And I was like, you know what, and you were given a benchmark of apply to 4 dream schools and 8 target schools and 2 safety schools, or whatever ratio that was, and I just discarded it completely. I applied to like 10 dream schools and 2 target schools and 0 safety schools, because like I was like, you know what, I'm not about that safety life. Like I'm not going to a university with the mindset of this is a compromise for me. I refuse to do it. I'm not available for that in my life. And so I applied, and I was like, I applied with the mindset of, you know what, I don't need all these 10 schools to accept me. I just need the one. And and I felt an inner pull towards the University of Chicago. Like I connected so much with the application. And when
Mhm.
the rep came to India and made a presentation about the school, I just felt like, yes, this school is weird. This school is quirky. It's like intellectual. It scared the shit out of a part of me, which was like, oh my God, like this is full of like nerds, and like I'm not going to be able to keep up. But then it really excited like my inner quirky girl. So I wrote the most strange application essay, and somehow it floated their boat, and lo and behold, I got my acceptance to U Chicago. And I also got into Emory and NYU, but I knew, U Chicago was it. Like I felt the intuitive pull. So I think that listening to my intuition, but also just being very mentally aware of all the opportunities around me was what
Mhm.
drove me. And I was like 18 years old at the time. U Chicago was my first study abroad experience. It was the best 4 years of my life. In fact, I've written a book about it. It's called #college 7 Guidelines to Define Your Success Story, for those of you that are curious around reading that. I wrote and published a book about my experience. I had the best time in Chicago. And yes, did I have fears? Of course I did. Will I be able to intellectually keep up? I live in Mumbai where it's summer all year round. Am I going to be able to deal with the Chicago cold 7 months of the year? I mean, they say 3 months, but let's be real, it's cold 7 months of the year. For me anyway. And so I had all of these fears. But you know what, when your inner voice, I always say follow the excitement, and if something
Mhm.
excites you, just follow that, because there's magic waiting in the excitement for you. That was my first experience with studying abroad, and that's kind of where I got my foot out of the door and opened up this vast expansive world of opportunity.
Oh my gosh. I loved hearing that story because I remember when I first met you, and I think, we all see each other and then we first speak and we realize we're all from different parts of the US and different countries. We're on the ship, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like she's from India?" And, I don't know, we just all just seem to click so easily in our group. Um and we just had amazing time. And I think the one thing I loved is that you were always down to eat. And I think like that was my big thing. I was like, all right, we're here, what are we gonna eat, you guys? Like we have to eat food.
Yeah.
But seeing, like, even when we were on the ship, you were like, I have to stay healthy, and I was just like, I gotta, as I was eating, I was like, man, I gotta be like Neha. I gotta work out more. But no, but you were very inspirational, and just like hearing your story and sharing your stories. I was just like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Like I learned so much from everybody. But you were definitely like one of the people I was just like, oh, like this, she's really cool. Like I want to be her friend forever.
That's so sweet. I won't lie. I definitely had fun playing with so many people that I met around the fact that I was from India. I fooled a couple of kids into believing that I went to school riding an elephant. So that I definitely milk the India cow, no pun intended, to the max.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can see
Yeah,
people like, really? I would have been like, what? They got zoos just like us. It's
I
like you
know.
should have took
Yeah.
the elephant.
Yeah, I why not let the imagination run wild? Let them think my cow is actually like a big gigantic animal on which we threw this red seat on, and I went to school in it. And but one thing is true about India: you do see cows in the street. That's not made up. That's factually correct. And people are very respectful around the cow. It's a holy
Mhm,
animal, and
mhm.
you know, you see sometimes cars speed over and they don't stop when people are crossing the street. But if there's a cow, you best believe the cow will slow down.
No, I no, that's so interesting because um in Virginia, in certain parts, like I've been at like my siblings, I have, my brother and sister who play baseball. And at one of their games, after the game or during the game, cows left some farm and ended up in this sports complex. And so people are like not close, but they're far. And it was a bull and a female cow. And I'll leave it at that. But there was a lesson that the parents and kids didn't know that was going to be taught that day. But it
That's
was,
so funny.
but it's so, it was just funny, and people had to like call animal control. So they called somebody there is like, I know what farm this came from, and called the people up, and it was like, hey, two of your cows are down at the thing, and they had to come and pick their cows up. So like, it's so funny. You're like, yeah, there's cows everywhere. And I'm like, that one time, at
Yeah.
that one time
Dude,
in
where's my
Virginia.
cow?
But supposedly it happens a lot. Somebody's like, yeah, their cows get loose all the time. I'm just like, they're not scared, but
Yeah.
because cows are
Different.
big. Like even like calves are huge.
They are. They are. But they're actually very loving animals. Like I've fed fruit to cows here once when I was at a yoga ashram in India, and they're just so harmonious and they're so sweet. Like actually when you get close to the animal, like you realize they're really loving, and they have like a very calm vibration. Like they're not aggressive unless they're provoked. But if you're,
Mhm.
if you have like a loving energy towards it, it's very, they're very sweet animals.
I heard if you sing to them, they'll like come towards you. My
Yeah.
cousin, my cousin, she was an actress and singer, and she said she lived in Colorado. She was like, she would go and like see where the cows were, and she would like practice her opera. And I was like, I've always wanted to do that. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll find a farm nearby and like sing them out. I'll let you know how it goes. But
Please
people,
do.
please, please, if you see a cow, don't just approach it.
Yeah.
Please don't approach.
Disclaimer, safety
Disclaimer.
disclaimer for everyone. We're talking about domesticated cows here.
Yes, please, domesticated cows only. But that leads me to um my next question. And we one thing when we study abroad, a big part of us studying abroad, whether they're there or not, can be the support of our family, our village, people who are in our
Yeah.
community. So how encouraging were your parents when you decided, okay, well, I I'm in Chicago right now for undergrad. I'm gonna study abroad again. So how did that go?
I think so. When I first went to Chicago, my dad was like, "How are you gonna survive? Are you sure you want to do this? I have to let go of my little baby. I have to pay all of this tuition." Like he had a lot of thoughts going on. No, I'm just kidding. But my mom was more supportive. I think she was like, "Go. This is such a good environment. You're gonna be so intellectually stimulated. I'm so happy that you're receiving this opportunity. Because my mom was very aware that growing up, neither she nor my dad had the kind of opportunities that they were able to create for us. So I think she really wanted to live vicariously through me and wanted me to make the most of it. So my dad too was super supportive. Like he just didn't want to let me go. And then at the end, when I was leaving at the airport, he said something so sweet. I still remember it. He said, a ship is safe in its harbor, but that's not what ships are made for. And it was just this like, okay, like go fly, like go make the world your own, make of it what you have to. And that was kind of like the letting go moment. So I think they were supportive, but I also think that a part of me knew that, okay, I'm growing into an adult. I have to explore life and make my own decisions, and prioritize and value the variety that life is giving me, and just be very grateful for this amazing opportunity. So when I first went to Chicago, I did feel that connection, that deeper kind of connection to my parents. But I think that as time went on, I grew more autonomous, I grew more independent. And the second study abroad stint I had was actually in my fourth year of university, where I chose to study abroad in Rome for a quarter. So that was just part of my semester at sea, being the third study abroad experience. But Rome was just part of my, it was part of my coursework. At this point, I was an international studies major. It was required that I study abroad. Well, they were willing to waive the requirement because I was technically already studying abroad. But I was like, no, don't waive the requirement. Like, I'll go do it. Like, home girl will go to Rome. It's all good. Like,
Make
we
me
can
go
do Italy.
abroad.
Yeah, I can make 3 months in Italy work. It's not a problem. I got this. So I packed up my bags and I studied abroad in Rome for 3 months with literally the best friends of my life. To this day, I am friends with my study abroad friends, and I made the best friends ever. I traveled all through Europe. I had such an amazing time. I was living in the heart of Italy, like Italiano. Like, it was so nice. I woke up every day and had the best coffee of my life. And it was such a magical experience, just learning about Italian culture and the language, and having class in museums and churches, and learning about the architecture and the history and the Roman Empire, and just learning more about the history, the art, and the culture of a place by actually being there is it's not something you can get out of a textbook. It's just not. You can't even compare the experience. And I think that those 3 months were just the most special months of my life. I mean, 4 years at U Chicago were very, very special, but those 3 months were like extra special. Like, we're talking icing on the cupcake special. So it was just the best time. I remember it to this day. And again, no regrets there at all. Did I have some crazy adventures? Yes, I did. Did I take some huge risks? Yes, I did. Like any 21-year-old who's left by herself in Italy, and who's been through 3 years of university already at this point. So I was definitely more adventurous than I was when I first started college. But I had an exceptional time. It was just amazing. And that was my second study abroad experience, to which my parents, at that point, they were more chill. They were like, oh, okay, you're only one flight away instead of two flights away. And you're only 8 hours away from India instead of 20 hours away. So it works.
No, no, I think parents really do think of things that way. Like, okay, who do I know that's close to them or where they'll be
Yeah.
and how far away they are. And I always found that very interesting. And I was like, yeah, mom, I'm here. And she's just like, I don't know anybody there. I'm like, mom, I'm fine. Like, parents get like really, I'm like, I'm okay, I promise. And then you don't call them for a week mistakenly, and then they're freaking out. But
Yeah, they think someone picked you up and kidnapped you. No, but really though, I find that some resistance that I find in young people that I often talk to is they feel really safe with their parents. Like they feel
Mhm.
like that human need for safety and
Mhm.
security gets met when they're at home. Like they're in a cocoon, they're in a familiar environment, they're with their parents. But to that, I always say, yes, safety is very important, but so is variety, so is personal
Mhm.
growth, so are new experiences. And the best thing that you can choose to do is fly and see the world for yourself and explore things and develop your own unique specialness and understand the world in your own way and your place in it and your duties and privileges, and opening up your eyes to the different cultures and being and purposely putting yourself in environments where you don't have that same safety or comfort of home, in a
Mhm.
way where your identity is kind of set, everybody knows who you are. It's so fun to go to a place where nobody knows who you are and invent yourself at your own terms. It is so, so fun. So I always recommend doing it just for that personal growth experience of being able to be whoever you want to be.
And it's so beautiful to be able to like go somewhere and really just kind of like, oh, okay, like I can do this. Like my mom and dad won't frown upon me or won't look at me, give me the side eye because they're not here and they don't have to know I did this. And it sounds crazy and doesn't mean that you're doing anything illegal or anything like wild, but I think it also goes to show like how much um we don't do things out of approval of our parents.
Oh, for
Whereas
sure.
you should really do a lot of things for approval of yourself and for your life. And like I even think like I have stories, even though I was like keeping a blog when semester at sea, I had stories that I altered because I was like, I can't tell my mom this. Like there's no way I can tell my mom this story right now. Maybe when I have a kid or two. And they're nothing crazy. I just know she'll be like, what? Like you don't want that type of I guess judgment on you from your parents. But you're completely right. Like you get to be somebody new. Like I found myself, I was like, oh, I'm being saucier in other countries than I am at home. And but in at the end, you end up taking that with you and you bring it back. It becomes a part of you
A
because
100%. I
like
think that
mhm,
sorry, I think you're so right, and you're so onto something there. I think that as children we're taught, or where we unconsciously seek our parents approval because we need to for our survival, right? Like mom and
mhm,
dad have to love me in order for me to be my best and for me to survive. And
mhm,
what unfortunately happens is, growing up into adults as well, if there's some unmet need or some need for parental approval, subconsciously or unconsciously, it's so common for people to act in a way that will please their parents, because it speaks to that unmet need of love and approval from childhood. But I think
mhm,
a large part of adulthood is realizing that when in this world, you literally need nobody's approval except your own. And if you approve of who you are, how you're showing up, what you're doing, and what actions feel in alignment for you and your soul's purpose and your core truth, that's really all you need. And I think that that's such a huge part of growing up. And even in my own spiritual journey, I know we're talking about physical travel, but I'll talk about spiritual travel for a sec.
mhm,
Even in my spiritual journey, I felt like I made such huge progress and such a big leap forward when I released the need for my parents' approval. And I was like, okay, you know what, they have a certain set of beliefs and expectations, and they have a certain blueprint for how life should be lived based on what they learned when they were growing up. And we now live in a time where the internet is more common and casual sex is more accepted, and we have Instagram, and we have Zoom calls, and we have Wi-Fi, and we have more study abroad opportunities, and we have all these things. It's more common to change jobs more frequently, it's more common to start your own business, and we live in such a completely different world that I think that a large part of that internal homecoming and coming home to yourself is the idea that you can't spend your life making decisions trying to please your parents. You can't live in alignment with their beliefs. While I certainly don't suggest disrespecting your parents, I have utmost regard for both my mom and dad, and I love them dearly, with all my heart. But do I make all of my life's decisions in accordance with their ideal version of how my life should look? Absolutely not. If they had their way, I'd probably be married 5 years ago, but I think that's a conversation for another time. Um, but yeah, I think that's the essence of what I wanted to say. So I think sometimes, if if you're thinking about going abroad or studying abroad and you're worried about what will my parents think and will they support me, really ask yourself the question, what do I think and what do I want, and where's my excitement taking me, what does my heart beat faster for, and what does my soul feel like doing, and follow that voice, because that inner intuition that you have, that's going to be your guiding compass for you to cultivate a life at your terms with unique, rich, and beautiful experiences exclusively for your soul.
No, so true. Like I just applying for programs, like me already applying for programs, um that's that was like, different step. And my mom encouraged me, but then I think, they realize like, oh, Justine, like they say like the travel bug, but it's real. Like once you've done it once, like your standard is set. Like this is where I am, and I can only literally go up from here. I can't fall because I've had those experiences. And but I think although our parents can get worried, they become very grateful of the experiences, because then they realize like, oh, they can do this on their own. And then they're just kind of like, oh, that's less work for me. So then they start to see the benefits of like you really coming into adulthood or learning how to be more independent. And I think that's what my parents have liked so far, or have enjoyed so far, from seeing me study abroad. They're just like, oh, like, yeah, go on and do that. You could do that. There's no need for me to do it. That's for you. So I think I've seen that in my parents. Um and I think that's probably one of the biggest things I have gotten when it comes to like just reactions from parents, and like what I have done and what I haven't done. So now we're gonna go to another question, and a bit. This is mainly speaking on what you currently are doing. So
Mhm.
you told us about it in the beginning, but can you break it down a little bit more in what it means to of this wellness? Because I think globally wellness is this new wave, whereas for a lot of cultures that aren't Western cultures, it has been something that's really staple, um, and is really like really foundation of a lot of cultures that, again, that aren't Western. And now it's like this new wave, and everybody wants to get on it, and it's just kind of like, great,
Mhm.
get on it, but there's a proper way to do it. So can you share what you do, and also share how what you do helps women, and in a positive way? Because I know you're very much about doing things the proper way, and doing it in a way that is healthy, and not that's not detrimental to health.
100%. I love speaking about this topic. It's literally my heart and soul. And yeah, you're right that Eastern cultures do have these really deeply ingrained traditional practices. Like India's the home to yoga, to Ayurvedas, things that have picked up popularity in Western cultures more recently. In other Eastern cultures, like you have like Balinese massages, and you have like acupuncture, and there's all these different treatments and all these different modalities of self-care that I think are so that are now picking up popularity in the West. So what I do is I'm actually an Ayurvedic health coach. So I use the modality of Ayurveda, which is a philosophy around how to use foods and spices and herbs from nature to heal any imbalance in your body. And Ayurveda basically believes that we as human beings are connected to the earth. We're a species of the earth, and everything that is needed for our inner healing and our highest good can be found within nature. So, for
Mm.
example, if you want to balance your blood sugar, say you struggle with intense sugar cravings, and you just want to really bring your blood sugar down so your body doesn't give you as intense of a sugar craving, Ayurveda will say pick cinnamon. Cinnamon is the spice that balances blood sugar. So make yourself a cinnamon tea, chew on a cinnamon stick every day. So use that cinnamon to stabilize your blood sugar. And what I do is I use the wisdom of Ayurveda and I apply it to the weight loss problem. The reason I did this is because I personally struggled with my weight for a very long time. I was very unhappy in my body. I weighed 70 pounds more than I do today. And I just wanted to very desperately lose weight no matter what. Like, I felt like my weight was blocking me. I wasn't dating anyone that I liked. I didn't wear the clothes that I liked. I'd go shopping and think, what's the point of this? I'll just shop again when I lose weight. I kept putting off my whole life until I lost the weight. And one fine day, I was like, you know what? Enough is enough. I need to get this together and lose this weight. But I tried so many different diets. I tried cutting carbs. I tried low fat. I did water fasting, juice cleanses. I went to retreat centers. But what happened was I didn't actually lose the weight. Like, I'd follow these diets, but then I'd binge on a bunch of sweets or chocolates. And I was in a very unhealthy binge restriction pattern because of my need to want to diet to lose that weight. And what eventually harmonized it for me and actually helped me shed every last pound that I wanted was adopting an Ayurvedic approach. And I studied Ayurveda. I studied what it says about my body type, what it says about excess weight, what imbalance is that attributed to, and what types of foods do I need to infuse my diet with in order to very naturally correct that imbalance. And I felt full. I felt satisfied. I felt light. I felt clean. I felt nourished. And I was like, wow, like I have just used this brilliant way of feeling good about myself while I lose weight. And everywhere I look around me, there are people desperately feeling so shitty and torturing themselves on diets that don't even work most of the time in an effort to lose weight. And I was like, you know what? I have to share this. Like, I have to share my experience. I have to share what I've learned. I have to share that weight loss is possible. You can lose the weight and keep it off and feel really damn good about yourself in the process. And that was kind of how my business birthed. It started just by me talking about my experiences, about how embarrassed I felt in my body and what I did to change that, and how I found this beautiful healing modality to just heal my body. And now I'm at my ideal body weight. I've never looked and felt better. I'm so happy. I'm so comfortable in my relationships, and I just wear the clothes that I want. And I still follow a very Ayurvedic lifestyle. And I love teaching it to women all over the world. My clients routinely tell me, you changed my life. I had no idea dieting could be this easy. I was such a perfectionist. Either I'd be binging on food all day long, or I'd be on this super restrictive, like only drinking water until 2 p.m. and then eating one fruit kind of diet. And I help them shed all that weight. My clients lose like 40 pounds in 4 months, 50 pounds in 5 months, 65 pounds in 6 months. So I get
Ooh.
those level of results for people. And I do it in a way that's just really harmonious and really connected to nature. And I really do believe that eating a more plant-based diet and eating foods from nature and choosing natural food, single ingredient, whole natural food, is the first step towards taking care of your body. And I think, coming back to your question around wellness, I think taking care of your physical body is step one. And then you look at, okay, my mental health, my emotional health, but it all works together, right? You can't be like, if you're thinking positive thoughts but you're shoving trash into your body, there will be a part of you that will feel dissatisfied, low energy. Your skin may break out, your hormones may be fluctuating. So I think you have to take care of your physical body, because your body is your temple. You have to honor it, you have to take care of it, you have to support it as it moves through life with you. And then you also have to cultivate that healthy internal environment, know how to deal with comparing yourself to other people or not feeling good enough, those inner feelings of unworthiness or whatever might come up, and just and giving yourself and holding space for yourself to feel those feelings, no matter how um, intense they might be for you, is one of the ways that you can take care and really nurture your inner environment. So I think that when I think of wellness, I think of taking care of your body, I think of taking care of your mind and your thoughts, and giving yourself the radical self permission to feel whatever feelings need to come up without suppressing them or stuffing them down. So that's my take on wellness.
No, it's and I went to your website and I was reading. I was like, I love this, but I think it's so true. And I'll say personally, like in my family, I'll say specifically on my father's side, my aunt who I live with, we've talked about this. And my father's side is Caribbean, so she's very like um she has a Western doctor, but she also has, like, we call 'em natural paths. So because she was like, at the end of the day, like, before we came here, obviously we were living, wellness isn't this new thing. It has always been ingrained in in cultures, um outside of, outside of Western cultures. It's always been ingrained. It's been, a lot of times, it's the foundation of things. uh and just talking about that. And so recently, probably, I mean, it's been more than 6 months ago, but I decided to have like a more plant-based diet. So and then, I'll have the times throughout the year I'm like, I'm not gonna eat any meat for a while. And I don't, and like, I love meat. I tell people, like, I love steak, I love bacon, they're amazing, but I don't have to eat them all the time. And I
Yeah,
do tell, I can always tell, like, oh, like, I feel better, like, and I know when I eat a lot of meat, I feel so much, like, just physically heavy, because
heavy.
it can weigh you down in different ways when you eat a lot of it. I think everything is, you can do things in moderation. But I do make sure I eat a lot of plants, and it actually makes it easier because, meat can be expensive.
It
So
is, and I think there's so many problems, Justine. Without getting too much into it, I think it's not even just the expense. I think it's the way the animals are treated. It's the growth hormones that are injected in them. You're taking that in. It's the stress hormones and the cortisol that gets released in the animal when they're being killed. And I think there's just, and then there's also the animal cruelty aspect to it, which is a completely different perspective, but all tying home and leading home to the fact that if you want to stay light and have a light and clean diet, I definitely think having a plant-based diet is the more superior lifestyle choice. And I advocate plant diets 100%. I'm vegetarian myself. I'm practically vegan. I'd say I'm 95% vegan. And even with the milk that I do occasionally drink, I follow the Ayurvedic method, which says that milk is fine provided it's from a cow that's treated with a lot of love and care, and after the calf has had its share. So, like small amounts of milk, depending on your body type, and ghee, which is also an ingredient that's used for healing in Ayurveda. So that's my approach on food and eating. And yes, you're right, meat does have a heavier, denser property, so it manifests as making you feel that way in your body too. Whereas if you pick a more lighter choice, you feel lighter.
Mhm.
And that's some of the deeper work that I do in my coaching also.
No, no, it's, thank you so much for sharing that. Cause and I will ask you this question, because I know, you talked about diet culture, and we see them all the time, like, do this and this will happen. And sometimes I think, instead of enforcing like diet culture, we should enforce lifestyle changes, because those are the things in the long run that will say, hey, that will help you out, that will, make sure that your body is working for your good on a longer scale, not just on a 2-month scale. Um, and so when it comes to negative, for those who may be scared, who may have a past with um, negative diet cultures or things that they have, or trends, how do you combat that and say, okay, this is what makes this different from that?
Perfect. Such a beautiful question. And I want to answer that by saying your beliefs literally create your reality.
Mm,
So if you believe that being on a diet to lose weight is really hard, it's full of sacrifice, it's going to test your willpower to the max, it's going to make you feel really shitty, and it's this huge sacrifice you have to make. Well, guess what? You're going to make choices that reflect that belief into reality. Whereas if you believe that being on a diet is the most effortless thing, I love food. Food is here to support me. I effortlessly choose the right foods that support my greatest good. I love eating clean and eating well. Food is nourishment. Food is bliss. Food is joy. Weight loss is easy. My body is always self correcting. My body is always healing itself. I am letting the weight go. It's the easiest thing in the world. Then that's what happens. And what I do when I uptake a new client is I really just look at what have been their experiences and what are they believing right now about weight loss, about how easy or hard it is, about their own levels of self confidence and their ability to do it. And what I do is we reprogram those beliefs from the get go. So after having been through the ringer with your weight and feeling like it's this endless battle where you've just been fighting and fighting without making much headway. So I think it's so important to just look at those beliefs and realize that your beliefs are always forming your reality, and so it's important to choose beliefs that support and serve you and make you feel really good and aligned, rather than beliefs that may not support you. And also, I think the deeper layer here is look at where those old beliefs are coming from, right? Like,
mm,
has someone told you being on a diet is really hard? Have you seen supermodels in magazines, and have you thought that I have to eat nothing to be like that? Where did those beliefs come from? And then if you and then ask yourself, do I actually have to believe this? Is this truth, or is it just something someone said and made up that isn't absolute reality?
no, and I think that's so true. Like, seeing where the truth is coming from, because sometimes what we learn, we subconsciously learn it, because it's something we see so much. And sometimes what we learn is, we see all these things like, oh, try this. And I'll probably say I'm not a workout, okay, a little bit workout junkie. Like, I'm like, oh, I like that workout, that looks good. And so I think I do it differently with workouts. And that could be, that could be hard too, because it's just kind of like you're trying all these things in hopes of this one goal. But the truth is, like, you have to what is your mindset on how to get to your goal, and is that a healthy one? And sometimes we don't want to let go of that mindset we have, because we like put so much on it. But a lot of times you have to let it go, because it's like once you let it go, it's like, okay, I can do this and get to where I want. I can do that, which you just have to pick which route you want to take and which route is going to be best for you.
I agree. I think with the mindset piece, I think it's good to hold on to certain useful patterns,
Hmm.
provided those patterns are getting you the outcomes you want. So if you're in a really healthy routine where you are eating clean, you're exercising maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and that way of life is getting you awesome results, yeah, by all means, don't let that go. Don't let
Hmm.
that habit of regular exercise go. Don't let that habit of eating your meals at proper fixed times every day go. Those are very healthy patterns to be in. However, I think if you're working out super vigorously, but then you're binge eating after it, then it's like, okay, something here is not adding up, and you're not getting the results that you want. And you have to really pick apart which part of the behavior isn't serving you, and really let go so you can make room for a new way of doing things. And I think coming back to point you made about working out, I think it's important to maintain that balance between what you should be doing to get your goals, but then also following your pleasure. Like, what workout do I
Wait a minute,
love?
wait a minute.
So I was saying it's about maintaining that balance between doing the things you need to do, but then also following the pleasure, right? Like, what workout feels really good? What
Mhm.
gets you excited? Like, do you like swimming? Do you like running? Do you like picking up weights? Do you like yoga, Pilates, whatever that may be? And just following and giving yourself the permission to do what feels pleasurable, not necessarily what you have to do or what you think you have to do. And as long as you strike that balance, right, of like, okay, here's what I have to do. I have to work out 4 times a week, but then being flexible around what you let those 4 workouts be, to follow that pleasure. So I think it's a bit of both, and giving yourself the permission to be in both of those states.
No, and I think it's part of that wellness, like not just work, doing this. It's like you have to rest, you know. And you said the things about like pleasures. I think those are important. Like again, in moderation, being able to say, okay, like I'm gonna have this slice of cake because I've earned it. I've literally eaten clean this entire week. I've worked out. I deserve this. And I know I'm going to work out tomorrow. So, you know, like that whole aspect, because I think sometimes we, again, we do that work mentality. Like all I have to do is work or grind and we don't rest. We don't reward ourselves with anything. And I think that becomes the daunting part of people thinking, oh, I want a healthier lifestyle. Like a healthy lifestyle isn't fun. And I think a lot of people have that mindset. And so they're like, I'd rather do this. Which I mean understandable. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna eat this Snickers.
But that's the thing, and I actually don't think it's about judging harshly what you're doing as well, right? I think it's about integrating it. It's about saying, okay, you know what, having a Snickers once a week is a part of my lifestyle, and I live a very healthy lifestyle. And giving yourself the permission to be labeled as a healthy person in your own eyes, with the Snickers being included as being healthy, because you know what, you deserve to eat whatever it is your heart desires. You know how to moderate. You have full confidence that you're not going to eat 10 Snicker bars. It's going to be just the one Snickers. You have that built in, and you also know that exercise is not a punishment for the thing that you ate, and you can very well skip a workout that day, take a rest day, and still eat the Snickers and be fine, because overall you just live a very, very healthy life. And it's about having that inner confidence that my lifestyle is healthy and I trust myself to live a healthy life, and I have got this, and I never overeat, and I indulge with pleasure because it's just my way of being. It's not even that you try. It's like, yeah, I have a Snickers, so what? Like, it's without making it this big deal, because somewhere I also feel like when you judge foods and make it such a big deal to eat a cake or a Snickers, what happens is that, say, when you may eat a little bit more than you intended to, you have guilt, and then you have shame
Mm,
around it, and then you overeat to fill the guilt or the shame and avoid those feelings. So I almost think it's easier to just ditch the guilt and give yourself the permission to have it, knowing full well that you can be a very healthy person with a weekly Snickers, and that's possible. And
mhm.
just having this new way of thinking about
No, so true. I'm learning so
it.
much. And I don't eat a Snickers a week, but I could. I'm like, I think I could fit it in on a Wednesday. But
You
no,
know,
I.
Justine, it's so funny. I told one of my clients she also really loves Snickers. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Have it occasionally. Like, no, nothing is off limits here. You don't have to avoid anything. You can eat
Mhm.
anything you feel like eating. And she actually fell so deeply in love with herself and her healthy routine, she now makes like a healthy, like homemade version of Snickers with peanut butter and dates and cocoa powder, and like, and she made like this frozen Snickers homemade ice cream with a frozen banana and peanut butter and dates and cocoa powder and dark chocolate chips, and she eats that now, and it's like all clean ingredients, all good stuff, all feels really good. And it's like, and she eats it from this place of like, I love myself so much and I'm enjoying this chocolatey peanutty taste because I give myself the permission to radically enjoy those tastes, right?
I
And
need
it's
that
also that, and
recipe.
it's also, yeah, I'll give you the recipe, but it's also about knowing that even if you choose to eat the original Snickers and not make some version, your healthy version yourself at home,
Hmm.
that's still okay. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, and
Hmm.
that's the other key to it.
No, and thank you so much for sharing that because, again, like you talked about eating it and feeling the shame, and then we're like, oh, to get rid of the shame, like I'm gonna feel it, I'm gonna eat my feelings. Where the truth is, it's just kind of like it's okay. Like it's okay to have that cheeseburger. Um, and I feel like that's what starts anybody, whether it's with food, whether it's with whatever somebody may think their vice is. It starts with that shame, and that's what sets them into either doing more, um or just really feeling bad about what they did when they don't have to.
Absolutely. I think guilt is one of the worst emotions with food, and it has such negative repercussions because it puts you in the cycle of eating more and more and almost avoiding the feeling, saying, you know what, I'll be good tomorrow. I'll start again tomorrow. Forget it. I've ruined today. Let me just eat everything.
Hmm.
And it's that kind of thinking and that and going down that line of thought where it's like, okay, you ate the Snickers. Now enjoy it, let it go. Don't think and judge yourself that you've somehow messed up and are a bad person, and then reach for the brownies and then order the pizza, then skip your workout and sleep late and say, you know what, I'll start tomorrow. Like
Hmm.
all those steps that you didn't even want to do, but those self sabotaging things that come in when you feel so guilty about how you're acting around food. So I think it's about that fine balance of emotional management in making those food choices.
No, so true, so true. So, um, now we have talked about what you are currently doing.
Mhm.
So what I have two more questions. So this is one of
Sure.
the two. What is your next step? What are you planning to do now or preparing to do right now?
I am actually in the process of packing my bags. I'm moving back to Chicago this June. I'm starting my master's in media innovation and entrepreneurship at Northwestern University. So, pandemic withstanding, I will be making a move to Chicago really soon. I'm so excited. I love the city. I'm so excited about buying winter coats again. and and I'm very excited to be back in the US. I feel like things are changing around in that country, and I'm curious to experience some of the shifts that are going through and that the country is going through. And I'm also very excited to move out of India. I mean, I love India and I love home, and I've been here the entire pandemic, and I basically built my entire business at home here, and I spent a lot of time with my parents, and I feel like I received so much stability and love and just warmth being here. But now I think it's time for me to take that and run back into embracing variety and new experiences. So that's my next move.
Ooh, I can't wait. Okay,
Me
so
too.
I think Chicago is 10 hours away from me, and I'm always
Do it.
down for a road trip. So
Do it.
we'll plan that, and I'm gonna come up to see you.
Do it. Do it. Do it. I'm gonna have a great place. You're always welcome to crash.
Oh, yay! Yay! So this leads to my last question, and it's two parts, but so and I love asking this question because everybody's questions are different. Um, what has been your favorite or what has been your favorite place that you've visited or been to or lived in? And what has been your least favorite? And if you don't have a least favorite, then give me your top two favorites.
Okay. Such a good question. I think my absolute dreamy, like beautiful place that I visited was Cape Town. We went there together on
Yeah.
semester at sea. And I think it just stole all our hearts. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that. For me, I felt like it was a city that had such a chilled out vibe. It had beautiful mountains. Like I climbed Table Mountain and the Lion's Head, and I love like outdoorsy mountain climbing type of activities. So I love the mountains. I love the beaches. I did some crazy shark cage diving 3 hours off the coast, which just like scared me so much. But also was just wild, was absolutely wild. Um, and I know I remember being in the cage and the great white came like and right like snapped right past me. And someone made a joke when we got out of the cage saying, looks like the shark was in the mood for some Indian. Um, I know. But no, that I had some beautiful experiences in Cape Town, and I just the vibes, the city feel, the nightlife. I remember we went out at night, and it was so fun. And I made so much magic in that city. It'll always have a very special place in my heart. And also Rome. I love Italy as a country. The food, the people, the warmth, the fashion, the culture, the history. I could go on and on about why I love Italy, but I think it's just one of those really special countries. And then my least favorite, so I actually worked in a job where I was my first job before I started my business. I
Mhm.
was traveling to different countries writing business intelligence reports. And I got sent to Zambia to cover the copper industry there. And I didn't have the smoothest experience getting into the country. I had some issues with immigration, and they just like gave me a very hard time. And I just was not having it at all. And even once I got in and once I got into the country, I just was I just didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel very I don't know how to say this, but I just, some places just don't vibe with you. They just don't align, and that's okay. And I told my company, and they pulled me out in a couple of days and sent me to New York, which felt more aligned and more fun and
Mhm.
better for me. Um, and so that was I would say I didn't enjoy that experience much. And it just didn't resonate with me. It's a beautiful country and nothing against it or anything. I just don't think it was my particular cup of tea. But that said, I loved Cape Town. So
Mhm.
that was that I can say with certainty. Cape Town and Rome and
Yeah.
Italy. I have more favorites actually. Like I have like individual favorites for different things. Like I love Chicago for being a student, and I love London for the lifestyle, and I love Vegas when I'm feeling reckless. So it just depends.
I think Vegas, and the funny thing is, I've never been to Vegas, but that's on my list of places to go. Like, I've been there in the airport, but I've never like been in Vegas and like experienced it. It's on my list of things to do. So once
Honey,
this panorama lifts up and we're no longer in it,
yeah,
we can push for hopefully go to Vegas. That's definitely on my list. I was like, I'm gonna
you
have some
must.
fun. All
It
right.
is. It's very fun.
So now it is time. It is story time. And this is
Hmm.
time, it's called That Time I. And this is where one of us, but it's going to be you, you're going to share a story or two um, about life abroad. They could be funny, sad stories, lessons learned, sticky situations, whatever you want to share. Because I think these are it could be something that people listen to or that are people who are watching, whichever one. They'll hear this story and they're just like, wow, that's something that's good. And so of course for a little bit of entertainment as well. But go on and do that time I.
Okay, now that we're speaking about Vegas and we were talking about parents, let me tell you about that time. I wanted to apply to semester at sea. This was right after I had graduated, and we were in Vegas with my family, and they were like, okay, like you've graduated, what are you doing with your life now? Are you moving back home? What's the plan? And I was like, the plan is that I am going to sail through 17 countries with 600 other young people on the ship around across the Atlantic. We're going to go to Europe and Africa and across the Atlantic to South America, Argentina, Brazil, the Caribbean, and then back to the US. And my dad was just like, what? And I was like, yeah, there's this program. It's called Semester at Sea, where you're literally on a cruise with 600 other young people sailing around the world. And he didn't believe that. I don't know if he didn't believe that such a program existed, or he was just in disbelief that when he asked me about my life plan, that was my answer. Um, but I really wanted to apply. And my mom was like, yeah, go for it, go for it. And my dad was like, this is not happening. Like, is this a joke? Like, he just was like, what? And I remember we were in Vegas and the application was due. We were like, my parents had come to the US and we were with my little sister, and we had gone to Vegas for a family holiday. I know it's funny. It's not exactly a family holiday type of place, but let's be real, we all enjoyed the casino. So we were just there, like my parents, we stayed in we you know we were in like having a lot of fun, and we went shopping, and it was just really fun. And I wrote out my application, and I remember the deadline was right around the time when we were in Vegas, and it had to be postmarked by like 11:59 p.m. Was the deadline. And I remember it was like 11:30 at night, and we were driving, and I asked my parents, hey, can we go to the post office? I need to get this application in. And my dad was just in such disbelief, but I ran to the post office at like 11:35 at night. I got my application for semester at sea postmarked. And of course, Vegas is the only place on the planet where the post office is open at almost midnight. Um, but I got the application in, it got sent in, I got accepted, and the rest is history. As you know, we spent 4 amazing months together, making the best memories, traveling the world on that ship, and it was just so precious and so special. But again, I had to overcome the hurdle of completing my application while on family vacation in Vegas, getting it postmarked in the middle of the night while explaining to my parents that this was a very real prospect of something I wanted to do with my existence. So I think that's definitely been a fun memory that I have from my days back in the day of articulating my desire to travel to everyone else.
No, I think that is hilarious because when you first hear about semester at sea, it's just kind of like, yeah,
What?
right, that exists. And then I heard about it through a mentor that I had. She actually worked for the Institution of Shipboard Education when they were in UVA, when UVA sponsored it. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, yeah, she works for this. And my mom is like, okay. So me not even thinking to Google it, my mom looks it up and she's like, do you see where she works? And I'm like, she told me she works here. You don't think. And my mom's like, you need to look at this. And I did. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, it's like Sweet Life of Zach. Was it Sweet Life of Zach and Cody on Deck? And
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
funny because it's like, no, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody on Deck is like Semester at Sea. Like they literally took what Semester at Sea is and put it in a show. And I think that was the amazing thing. The show seems so far fetched. And Semester at Sea seems so far fetched when the truth is like it's been around for over 50 years. And like when I found that out, I was like, well, that's kind of messed up. How am I just buying? Like you feel some type of way. But at the same time, like I had never been in those circles or those networks to find out what it was, where there were other kids on the ship that found that were like, yeah, my grandparents did it. We're like, what? And they're like, yeah. And they met on the ship. And then my parents met on the ship. And I'm like, whoa.
Hold
So
on.
like for some semester at sea for some people is generational. And I hope it is generational. Like hope my kids can be on it. But it was just very very interesting from that aspect. of like something, probably like your dad was like, yeah, right. A retired cruise ship where you can learn. All right. And then, and then you get there and you get in the class and you're like, oh man, I got to study this. What was that word again? So I think that, no, that's a hilarious story because I think that's a lot of people's mindsets or their thought is like, yeah, like that's real. But
But it is, and I that's what I want to say to all the listeners. I mean, I think, sometimes you may think that a certain thought or a certain desire you have is very out of your reach, or it's very inaccessible, or it could never happen for you, right? Like, there's almost some weird satisfaction in otherizing yourself, saying, oh, but that
mm,
experience, that's for those other people, it's not for people like me. But really,
mm,
when you get over your own mental block, and you realize just how many opportunities you have and just how much is at your fingertips in this world, and you consciously put yourself in situations where you can claim those desires and find a way to make your heart's voice sing its song, that's when life dances with you in this beautiful way and brings into your reality experiences that you may have thought were wild or completely out of your reach. But I think that it stems from you saying, you know what, I'm not listening to the part of me that believes this isn't possible for me, because you know what, it is. And I'm going to make damn sure that it happens for me.
no, and I'm not even gonna say anything because that was perfect. This has been Neha like since we met because she's always been like, well, I feel like this is, and I'm like, that's it. That's what it is.
Truth bombs.
Truth bombs, like all the gems, diamonds, everything. Like she's been dropping them for years. But thank you. Thank you so much for sharing stories, sharing advice, sharing what you do. I'm so appreciative for you being here, sharing your beauty, your intelligence, and I, I don't. I'm just so grateful for you to be here because I was so scared to reach out to you. I was
Thank
like, she is
you.
busy.
No, I think I'm always happy. No matter how busy I get, I'm always happy to make time for my dear friends and for such a lovely podcast. I think that what you're doing, where you're making opportunities and study abroad and creating a life of your dreams that's filled with adventure more accessible to so many listeners and so many of you out there. Just take a leaf out of Justine's book as well. And I'm happy to lend my voice and share my experiences and share what I best could, to help inspire the listeners of your lovely endeavor. And I could not be happier and prouder of you for all the lovely things that you've done. So thank you for hosting me, and thank you for listening to me, and thank you for having me on your show, Justine.
Well, thank you. Don't make me cry. You know I'm sensitive. No. So with all of that said, all the love shared, we have come to the end of this episode. And we are going to go on and get out of here. But before we do, Neha, share with everybody where they can follow you. If you have any product or website, go on and share that with them. And I'm going to go on and put it below. So make sure you look below, and that's where her information is going to be.
Definitely. So you can hang out with me on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. So my handle is Neha Premji. It's just my name. Follow me, say hi, send me a DM, ask me any questions you have. I really pride myself on the fact that I have a very engaged community, and I love connecting with you guys and helping you lead a healthier, happier, more physically and emotionally balanced life. I also have a free webinar where I teach how you can apply Ayurvedic concepts to lose weight if you're interested more particularly in losing weight and improving your health. And you can also grab my e-course, the Ayurvedic weight loss method. So I'll send a link to that. I'll drop a link to that down below as well, if you'd like to check that out. learn more about Ayurveda in a more structured kind of way. The course is it's a beautiful creation where I just talk about the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, how to apply it to weight loss, and how to just live a healthier life using its principles. So I will share that also. And you can just check out my website if you're more curious around my work, what I do, who I've helped, who my clients are. So yeah, that's nehapremji.com. So thank you so much once again for having me, Justine.
Oh, no, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying up late to do this, you guys. Again, she is in what, Mumbai, India? You're in Mumbai.
Yeah.
She is 20 hours ahead, okay? Like, I'm still trying to think what I'm going to have for breakfast and for lunch, and she's already had her day. So the fact that you just carved out some time uh to chat with me and to share your knowledge really means a lot. But thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Alrighty. Well, we will see you next time on the next episode of Study Abroad Like a G, the podcast. Bye. Please make sure your seatbelts are fastened as we descend into a lower altitude. All right, now it is time to re enter back into life, unpack, and share all the knowledge you got today on this adventure, and prepare for your next adventure with a new global homie and me, Justine, the Master G of Study Abroad Like a G, the podcast. Make sure you go on and subscribe to this podcast and also share with your friends. And you can also visit studyabroadlikeag.com for more information and for any updates I may have. Also, if you want to check out and see what I'm doing day to day, go on and follow me on social media. You can follow me on Facebook at Study Abroad Like a G and on Instagram at Study Abroad _ like a G. If you have any questions, go on and slide in my DMs. I welcome it. It's okay. And if you decide you have a lengthy question to ask, you can go on and email me. And you can email me at hbcusgoglobal@gmail.com. That is hbcusgoglobal@gmail.com. I'll see you next time. Please remember to collect all items. We are hoping you enjoyed your time, and next time you consider studying abroad, make sure you do it like a G. See you next time. Take 3.